Humankind is living its usual, measured life. Major political issues are being resolved in the White House. And outside of it, ordinary people are making plans for tomorrow. What changes are waiting for them? But one single morning changes everything. For an unknown reason, in the city, all carriers of the Y chromosome suddenly die. Simply put, all male representatives are animals, birds and people among them, and the president of the country, the only man who managed to survive. This is Young, the incompetent illusionist Yorick Brown, and his pet hoodie. Ampersand should take the place of the president in case of an emergency. Regina Oliver. But unfortunately, during the incident, she was outside the country, and there's no news from her at all. Of course, the absence of leadership leads to terrible consequences. Riots are starting in the city, and the female residents are panicking and destroying the city, not understanding how to live on. The tension is also rising in the White House. The employees understand that they will be in an ambush in 2 weeks. We will run out of coal and clean water supplies. The food won't last long either. Animals can no longer reproduce. And to cultivate a sufficient reserve, it's simply impossible in a short time. And this applies not only to one city. This will affect everyone. Senator Jennifer Brown is taking over the reins of power. It is precisely to her that the agent of the secret group is making his way. The serial number 355. The girl reports she was sent here because of some real threat, but they didn't have time to tell her about the new task in detail. Yorick hasn't left the apartment all this time so as not to become a target for women. The supplies are gradually running out, and leaving a note for my girlfriend. The man still decides go out for reconnaissance. At the same time, the senator sends Sarah in search of his daughter Hero, who still hasn't gotten in touch after the disaster. But Hero is not in a hurry to take shelter in a safe place. Instead of that, she is coming to the shelter for the victims to help those in need, including the wife of his deceased lover. And after that, the girl is returning to her friend's den. And at first glance, it seems there are still some surviving men in the city, but soon everyone will get back to their usual places. These guys were born in a woman's body, and only thanks to hormones they were able to change their gender. Therefore, the unknown illness didn't affect them at all. Evacuation is starting in New York, and heavy military equipment is rolling around the city. Yorick has to hide so as not to fall into the hands of the military, but he still manages to get into the local bar. To leave on the wall, another message from my girlfriend. Yorick is still hoping that she is alive and seeing his autograph. My girlfriend will come back home. Usually, the guy manages to stay unnoticed, but this time, everything is not going as planned. His hoodie slips off, and Yorick has to run after it. Restless Amp descends into the flooded subway and disappears in the dirty water filled with the bodies of the deceased. Overcoming disgust, the guy decides to follow him so as not to lose my only friend. At some point, Yorick feels there is another living man standing not far from him, but it seems that it was just a vision. Shown the flashlight around, the guy can't see anything anymore except for dirty water. Having gotten out of the water, Yorick is sneaking into a clothing store to change clothes, but he can't do it there. Stay in the shadows. The owner of the store, they notice a naked guest, and they freeze in surprise. One of the women proposes to capture the guy and give him to the authorities in exchange for a good bonus, but still, taking pity on the unfortunate one, they let Yorick go, giving him a set of clean clothes. The stress he's been through is literally driving Yorick crazy. Watching the recordings on my phone, he remembers the day when Amp appeared in his life, and apparently, hearing the guy's voice, Capuchin is choosing from his hiding place. The couple is returning home, feeling completely safe there, but hearing the door open, Yorick understands someone from outside got into the apartment by mistake, and he will have to defend himself. Armed with a guitar, he's hiding around the corner and can't manage to strike the guy. Sarah turns out to be faster and stronger. She snatches the weapon out of the guy's hands, and a few hours later, he delivers it to his mother. To Senator Brown's pilots, those who delivered Yorick to the White House are locking him up. Sarah explains this by saying they need to rest after a long flight, but everyone understands the point is something else. Nobody should find out about it. The son of the new president has survived. Otherwise, it may cause suspicion of a conspiracy and lead to even more. Yorick himself is also not thrilled about this situation. Took a little rest after everything I've been through. He decides to take a look around, but the guy's curiosity, he almost leads him to failure. Marlowe discovers him in the abandoned office. The widow of the deceased president, Jennifer, and Sarah, who arrive just in time, present everything in such a way. It seems like Marlowe is having problems with her sanity. At this time, Yorick manages to hide, but there is a threat hanging over the conspirators, and Sarah insists on that. We need to take the guy out of the White House. The daughter of the deceased president is trying to find out what exactly did her mother see at night. Jennifer assures the girl that it was nothing more than a hallucination, but Kimberly suspects what's with President Brown lying to her. Jennifer Brown is instructing her assistants to find a geneticist who can examine Yuriko and find out what happened on the planet and why was he able to survive even with a cappuccino. The president plans to bring specialists here, but Sarah continues to stand her ground. This is too dangerous, and they should take the guy out of the city. The agent is ready to take on this dangerous mission, but we need to do this as soon as possible. At the same time, a woman who was injured is recovering in Israel. As soon as she opens her eyes and finds out about that all men on earth have died, the woman declares she should now occupy the position of the President of America. Nora Brady is a former advisor to the president. I'm forced to wander around with my little daughter, Mackenzie, having been left without means of subsistence and having lost husband and sons. The woman is having a hard time pulling herself together. He decides to fight to save myself and my daughter. They find out about it in the White House. Who is Regina Oliver? The main candidate for the presidency is alive. This leads to a split among the employees. Jennifer Brown remains faithful in part one, and the second one is siding with Regina Oliver and Kimberly, the president's daughter. In such a situation, Jennifer has to agree with Sarah and send the son to a safer place. The agent recruits pilots for this mission who brought the guy here, and as motivation, she gives them heroic stars, promising eternal glory in case of successful completion. The only way to secretly get Yorick out of the building. This is a cart with bodies. The guy is trying, refuse and come up with something else. But Sarah remains unyielding. They can't take the risk, and Yorick will have to endure it. Agent. He successfully takes the young man out and transfers him to a helicopter, but she plans to manage it herself. Second helicopter, on board of which there are only female pilots, should fly ahead as a diversionary tactic, but as soon as the airplanes they rise to the necessary height and then disappear from accompanying sight, helicopter loses control, and it splits into a multitude of hot fragments. This terrifies Yorick, and only Sarah keeps her composure, knowing that this is the price of the pilot's girl's silence. After several hours of travel, Sarah and Yorick sit down in the forest to take a short break. The agent can't stand it and asks the guy to undress. After a trip in a wagon with bodies, he smells not very good, and it would be better to wash the clothes before a further journey. Yorick's sister, Hero, is going in search of a safe place in the company of my friend, a half-woman. Along the way, the couple enters a store that has been looted by marauders to try and find at least some food, but instead of that, they find scared Nora and Mackenzie there. After examining the girl's leg, Hero notices a serious infected wound, and she's asking Nora to let her provide first aid so that they can move on. Sarah and Yorick's camp is being attacked by wild female robbers. The agent is trying to distract them and escort them, but to not take risks, Yorick puts on a mask and swings a stick, scares girls, fearing that they will disrupt their plan, and welcome guests are leaving, but the couple doesn't dare to stay in place. They are getting to the nearest city, and they exchange it for a bike, a generator, and a couple of grenades filmed from a helicopter. Sarah is inspecting and checking the vehicle. Yorick forgot about all the safety rules. She is running away to a deserted place, deciding that he saw his girlfriend Beth in the crowd. A stupid act leads the guy into a trap. He is surrounded by female police officers who tear off Yorick's mask and discover his secret. Sarah has to intervene to protect a friend, and after turning him down, she takes the guy far away. But as soon as I get a free minute, Sarah is stopping the bike to bring a loser to his senses and remind him about the importance of the mission, which he almost ruined just now. Hero is her friend and their new companions. They come to spend the night in an empty women's shelter. The girl confesses to Nora her daughter is having serious problems. She needs antibiotics, but the pharmacies have long been looted, as well as empty houses. Out of fear and powerlessness, Nora goes outside so that my daughter wouldn't see her tears. But there, a woman is facing a new challenge. Riders are appearing in the courtyard who call themselves the mistresses of the house, and it seems they're not very happy about the uninvited guests. The hostess also discovers the other visitors. They transfer them to the stable very quickly to get rid of extra mouths, but Nora notices something. What can save them? One of the riders turns out asking Hero to examine the girl, and the paramedic is trying to do something, but the bullet wound turns out to be too severe, and there's nothing at hand besides scotch and a pair of rubber gloves. Several hours of operation are not yielding any results. The girl is feeling worse, and the leader of the female gang, Roxana, decides to end her torment against all odds. The experiences of the borough. Roxana turns out to be kind and understanding, and promises to give antibiotics, which Mackenzie needs. And when the company follows the leader, Hero understands that antibiotics are just a small part of the gang's supplies. They own an entire shopping center. Satisfied with food, Sarah and Yorick continue to make their way to Boston. The geneticist Allison Mann. But at the entrance to the city, the couple encounters a checkpoint, soldiers armed with tear gas. Sarah is proposing to split up. She will distract the military, while Yorick and his monkey get around the ambush. After getting acquainted with Boston colleagues, Sarah learns that there are no men in the world. It didn't save him from crime at all. Whole squads of rebels are constantly attacking Harvard, trying to get inside and find answers to my questions. While Sarah is talking to the military, Yorick infiltrates some headquarters to hide from the threat. Well, he ends up in the hands of the rebels, risking being exposed. The rebels take him for a transvestite and let him leave, telling him where he can find get the necessary hormones and hide. Finally, Yorick and Sarah find Allison Mann's apartment and then her office at Harvard. The geneticist is not very pleased with the visit of strange strangers, but as soon as Yorick takes off his mask, she immediately understands why they came. Mann understands she should get to know the guy and his cappuccino, but it's already impossible to do this at Harvard. There's no equipment left here, no samples for work at all. Therefore, she proposes the only possible option: to rush to San Francisco to use the laboratory. There, Sarah agrees to another dangerous journey, but for some reason, she's breaking the radio in secret from Yorick. Their only opportunity to contact the president. The agent is using this breakdown as an excuse to leave. She is asking a friend to keep an eye on the geneticist until she finds another way to contact the White House. And for now, among politicians over the division of power are starting again. One of Jennifer's assistants, Kristen, is feeling unwell and she's thinking about I lost a child, but the ultrasound shows otherwise. The pregnancy continues to develop and it's quite possible a boy is developing inside. Sarah is breaking into someone else's house, whose mistress turns out to be no less skillful. What is a secret agent? A brawl breaks out among the girls, but when they still allow each other, speaking out turns out to both hackers work for the same organization, and they came here for the same reason: find the housekeeper and shoot her. Having learned about the helicopter crash, Jennifer can't find a place for herself, but Kristen is trying to calm her boss. The search team reported they only found the bodies of 2 pilots. Relief comes for a short time. The president understands what's most likely. Sarah caused the accident, thereby eliminating it and necessary witnesses, and she gets scared. Yorick is in the company of a dangerous criminal woman, and we don't know what she will do with him. Regina Oliver is being delivered to the White House, aspiring to the post of president. Taking advantage of this, Kimberly is preparing a coup to get rid of the hated Jennifer Brown and subsequently seize power. Allison Mann confesses to Yorick she is not confident in the success of the research. Will they have enough resources to find the cause of the men's deaths? But anyway, whatever. Yorick is waiting for tough times, and he and his hoodie will soon become experimental subjects. Sarah returns to the office and proposes to move forward. For some reason, she's lying to Yorick. He reported that she supposedly spoke with his mother, and they have a permit for a trip to San Francisco. The trio is setting off on a journey, not knowing about there's a military patrol going around the city with a photo of Sarah. But for now, the girls are waiting for a safe window between the gas supply, which the rebels told him about, a community of people with a changed gender, in which he can take off his mask and not be afraid to show himself. Sarah is furious about Yorick's latest antics, but it soon becomes clear the main danger isn't the guy and she herself. The patrol arrives in the community and shows everyone her photo. The company manages to slip away from under our noses. Even the Asians can hide in the church. Sarah has to admit that she has no connection with the White House at all, and she makes all decisions independently. Hero is her friend, Inora. They continue to live in Roxana's commune with their daughter. At first glance, it seems the company has landed in a real paradise. There is food, medicine, and safety. But when Nora tries to take her daughter from the regular meeting of radical feminists, Roxana is furious. She reminds me of that she took in guests, so it means they must follow her rules and listen to everything obediently. What is she saying? Moreover, Roxana is trying to do everything so that the little one, Mackenzie, hated men and joined their movement. Another such meeting is interrupted by a combat alert. Women are building barricades and arming themselves. They stand up to defend their supermarket. The enemies turn out to be a group, unfortunate women with a little girl. Roxana is going out to meet them, but she no longer accepts outsiders into the community. Even a child doesn't evoke her sympathy, and she is driving away refugees. Refuse to help them. Allison finds something in Sarah's things, a leaflet with information about the search for an agent. She is proposing that Yorick run away so as not to get caught because of Sarah. But the guy refuses to betray his girlfriend, despite the fact she's hiding something from them. Roxana in the evening gathers his community for some kind of festive event. At the very beginning, she tells the gathered people about Laura, which Roxana proudly calls the Amazons. At first, everything looks very innocent. Hiro and her companions begin to understand something strange is happening here. They first sprinkle Laura with earth, then they put it in the bathtub, and when she appears on the surface, everyone is starting to call the girl by a new name, Athena, deciding that all this is extremely weird. Sam is trans. Hiro's friend is leaving the hall. One of the participants in the movement is catching up to him to warn against conflicts with Roxanne, but this girl only creates problems for herself. She is being summoned for a conversation. Jennifer is reporting about it. The search team spotted Sarah, and they are setting a trap for her. The president is starting to worry about that the scouts will find her son. But by this moment, Allison still manages to persuade the guy to leave, and the couple is hiding in the forest. The detectives are trying to catch up with Yorick and Allison, but Sarah disarms the soldiers and destroys their radio, sending a signal to the White House. At night, Nora wakes up from screams. The woman looks out of the room and sees how a crowd of Amazons raises a girl for that she talked to Sam. Smiling beauties turn out to be ruthless, but Nora decides not to interfere. She wants her daughter to be safe, and for this, she is ready to accept the rules of the game. Sarah is finding a van, and the company continues its journey to San Francisco, despite Yorick and Allison's attempt to escape. It's natural, brings discord to the company, and the agent no longer trusts the fellow travelers, and this leads to more troubles. Sarah falls asleep at the wheel and the car flies off the road. Allison is trying to find Sarah, but she's not in the driver's seat. But right next to here, a military convoy of vehicles suddenly appears, which have nothing to do with the White House. Jennifer is reporting about this incident, and also about that there was a man among the fugitives. While the president, trying to divert suspicion from his son, he comes to his senses in an unfamiliar house, in one bed with the same unfamiliar woman. Getting out of bed, the guy is going in search of his monkey, but gets into the company of people who brought him here. Ranch residents, which Yorick was delivered to. They turn out to be quite peaceful, only they don't tell Yorick where have his girlfriends gone. And at this time, the girls are waking up in a prison, not understanding at all where are they and how can they get out of here. Jennifer is addressing the surviving female residents with a request. Agree to the evacuation and don't cause any disturbances. The president notices a familiar face, my son's girlfriend, who has been in the hospital all this time. While the president is communicating continues to secretly campaign for Regina, overthrow the imposter and take her place. Despite Yorick's friendly atmosphere, they're not letting me go. He is being sent to the girl's cell to decide what to do with the prisoners next. The news about what happened is being added to everything else. A new strain of the flu has been discovered in Greece. Jennifer instantly involved in solving this problem, but she has to solve one more thing. Marlowe is going to the command center to find out, are the rumors about Yorick really true? Indeed. Waiting in the cell seems so tortuous. Sarah and Yorick are arguing again, but the couple is ending their disputes as soon as the heavy door opens and one of the settlement's residents appears at the doorstep. She is informing the prisoners the decision about them has been made. They are allowed to stay until then, until Sari gets better. And then they will be taken out and they will be able to continue their journey to San Francisco. The ranch owners have allocated a separate bedroom for Sam. But before I turn off, she asks Yorick to be careful and not to trust anyone. But the guy is confident. The agent is exaggerating the danger. It turns out to be quite fun in the settlement, and everything looks very peaceful and kind. Moreover, they have plenty of There's food, electricity and water, which have long since disappeared in other regions. The grief of Marley turns out to be so intense that a woman decides to end her suffering. Having climbed to the roof, the widow of the former president of the country is taking a step into the void. My husband and sons as soon as possible. For my daughter. She leaves a note with apologies and wishes. Meanwhile, Ben is returning to the city, but not to my girlfriend's apartment. How did Jennifer speak? And into the truck with the rebels, preparing an attack on the White House. Kate won out of, and Amazon is trying to leave the group. Roxana reminds her of the strict rules, firing a bullet into the back of a fugitive, but to the other residents. Roxana won't admit it. She presents everything in such a way. It's as if nomads attacked the girl, and so that this doesn't happen again, Roxana sends everyone for intensive shooting training. Moreover, Roxana is planning to send the guests away. Nora learns about this from one of the participants, and she rushes to the leader to beg her to let them stay with Mackenzie. No persuasions work on Roxana. She's giving Nori a few more days, after which the woman and her daughter must leave the commune. She remembers how did she manage to find this place and create a community of Amazons. And from the very first day, Roxana was the only leader. Nothing has changed during this time. Roxana continues. Dictate your own terms and instill them in the community's residents. What awaits them beyond her boundaries is danger and death. She holds a meeting every day. Which participants? We should remember all the nasty actions of men and make sure of Roxana is the only one who gives them security. Sam is not allowed to these meetings, and he is to rent guest houses on the lake shore and establish your own commune. But Hiro managed to fall under Roxana's influence. The girl is not sure. She wants to leave. Witness. Roxana becomes part of a passionate conversation among friends. She's getting on Hiro's nerves again, convincing the girl that it's not even real. A man can't talk to her like that. Everything ends with that. The couple is breaking up, and Roxana is allowing him to take some food. In the morning, Roxana doesn't tell Hiro about that. She lets Sam go. But she does everything to calm the girl down, and in honor of Hiro, they even organize a farewell party for everything masculine. The holiday is ending with a lively, fun party where everyone takes a rest. Apart from the den, the woman just can't manage to integrate into the revenge for this. She is causing a fire in the shopping center. While everyone is sleeping, the Amazons manage to survive, but their supplies have been destroyed, and Nora is pretending she has nothing to do with this. She gets lost in the crowd, depicting sorrow while being satisfied with one's actions. Nora is preparing for a night escape. She is going into the forest to check your supplies. But on the riverbank, the girl finds a police car filled with bodies. It becomes obvious Roxana is not at all what she seems pretending to be, and Nora decides to use this to her own advantage, choosing the moment when can they stay alone. Nora is telling Roxana about her find, and she promises to keep quiet. But in exchange for privileges in communication, they and their daughter should always have the best food, security, and a roof over your head. But as a payment, Nora offers not only her silence, she is ready to do it. Even after the ruin, people will not leave Roxana, and she will be able to remain the head of the women's fraternity. Roxana agrees to the conditions of the den. She gathers people and performs loudly. I promise with a motivational that they will overcome all difficulties and conquer the world. Sarah is getting better and even resuming her training. But she continues to be haunted by hallucinations and despite this, she is carefully watching Yurik, which seems I lost vigilance again, and I trusted the inhabitants too much. Sarah's suspicions are intensifying when one of the residents he's pestering her with questions about the found in the car. The girl refuses to speak. What is this? But she clearly doesn't this device can detect Yurik. According to Roxana's assignment, Hiro finds one more group of women who organize the memorial in memory of the men, masking behind good intentions and the protection of women's rights. Roxana is organizing a raid on the community to take away their food and other necessary things. The Amazons are causing a real hell for the city residents. Memory, but Noma everything is not going as planned. Instead of taking the food and drinking water, the wild ones are just destroying all of enjoying the process. The woman doesn't like this, and she is trying to make Roxana understand. But the crazy founder of the squad thinks that everything is being done correctly. Having finally recovered from illness, Regina Oliver is going to overthrow Jennifer, and she is asking her accomplices be ready for a revolution. In 30 minutes, she is turning to Kimberly for support. But after my mother's death, the girl is losing her enthusiasm and no longer wants to participate in the same time. Under the government building, the Bat team is setting a charge. Jennifer Brown is being summoned to the command center to bring charges against someone for concealing information about Yurik to protect his pregnant assistant. Jennifer has to admit that her son actually survived. She also talks about the guy has been sent to a geneticist in the name of saving the world. But did he get to the place? Nobody knows. Even those who were still on Jennifer's side the day before, they take Regina's side. They are asking the fraudster to resign and hand over the power to the real president. But the discussion, we have to postpone this issue since there's an explosion in the building and most likely outsiders have infiltrated him. The rebels break into the building under the leadership of Bat, cleaning up the underground tunnels. They are dealing with politicians and the security service. The president has to lay down his arms and surrender. Jennifer is getting to know despite the balaclava, but the girl manages to send a signal so that the woman would keep quiet. Regina's desire to be president disappears instantly as soon as danger appears. Therefore, Jennifer Brown has to take responsibility and communicate responding with the rebels to their demands. The rebels are taking hostages out of the control center to leave the building with them and not run into the wild city dwellers. It is at this moment that Regina finally starts to prove herself. The president is here and everyone has to listen only to her. In a fit of anger, she accuses everyone of betrayal, trying to betray her friends, including Kimberly. And as the icing on the cake, Jennifer Brown's son is alive. One of the rebels shoots a hysterical woman in the forehead. But that doesn't change the fact. What has she already said? And the most important thing completely confuses the plans of the group. Long stay in the settlement leads to that. There's a hunt going on for Yurik. Women miss male attention, and they wouldn't mind spending time with the survivor, taking advantage of that. My friend is currently busy. Yes. And Allison is making acquaintances. Sarah is hiding in the forest to destroy the censor, who has been transmitting a signal from her all this time. The rebels don't have time to get the hostages out of the building. The second enemy group is launching something through the ventilation. Tear gas. They're shooting in the corridors, in panic. They scatter in different directions. And those who don't manage to hide, they fall to the floor dead. Bet secretly takes off the handcuffs with Jennifer, and he's trying to take her away. Take your pregnant assistant with you. The president is too busy. But Kristen doesn't have Kimberly standing up for her. Through the underground parking, the girls manage to get to the exit. Among the personal belongings in the memorial town, Roxana finds a notebook with the names of all the surviving men. Now, the leader has a new goal. Find them all and destroy them, to liberate the planet. The Amazons decide to start with a guy, which they have already come across, who now lives in a nearby village. Nora shows Roxana his portrait, and of course, it turns out to be Yorick. That gives her form to Jennifer, and before they part ways, the president is talking to a girl. That Regina's words were the truth. Yorick is alive. Roxana and Nora are going on a quest to find the village, which, according to their assumption, a surviving man lives. Anticipating the imminent arrival of guests, Sarah is urging her friends to move on. Yorick doesn't like the news about the departure, but he is not ready to argue with the agent. But it's unlikely that the company will disappear anytime soon. Roxana has already found a mansion, and she is preparing a squad for an offensive in the coming hours. During the meeting at Roxana's camp, two nomadic women burst in, and from them, Hero learns about the death of the president. Who else besides her mother was vying for this position? The girl is thinking it's definitely about her, but in fact, Jennifer is alive. And I cried for my daughter. She is preparing to run away with that, since the president can't stay in the city for her. The hunt has been open for a long time. Sam sneaks into Jennifer's house at night. The woman immediately recognizes her daughter's friend. The company is trying to escape. Turns out to be surrounded. Christy and Kimberly find refuge in an empty barn. Waking up early in the morning, Kimberly is talking to her friend. She knows how to save them all. They need Yorick to continue to reproduce. And it seems like Yorick agrees with them, because he is spending this night in bed with one of the villagers, who has had her eye on him for a long time. The idol is shattered by the appearance of the Amazons. Led by the crazy Roxana, they burst into the city streets, and they demand to be given a man. Sarah jumps out of bed from the sounds of gunshots. She is asking Yorick's new girlfriend to take the guy, and she stays at home to repel an attack. Understanding the numerical advantage of our opponents, Sarah is coming out with her hands up, pretending that she is afraid of guests. She brings a local transvestite with her, passing him off as that very man. There's a serious shootout starting on the main street. Her sounds are distracting Sarah's convoy, and the girl disarms her opponents and escapes. Even little Mackenzie is joining the battle, trying to prove to Roxanne she's not taking up space in the community. At the same time, Hero is catching up with a group of Biggles at them until Yorick turns around. But having recognized the girl freezes, and Yorick's girlfriend shoots a bullet at her, not guessing about it, who is her boyfriend's sister. Wounded, Hero manages to tell his brother about his mother's death. The Amazons want to destroy him. She allows Yorick to leave, and for this, she is eliminating my fellow tribeswomen. The shootout in the city is in full swing, but unexpectedly, Nora raises her hands, stating that they are giving up. This drives Roxana into a frenzy, but everyone already doesn't care about this anymore. Hero is telling Nora about Yorick is alive. This gives women strength, and when they return to their camp, Nora decides to oust Roxana, opening the eyes of the girls who gathered. But conversations don't work. Roxana continues to provoke Nora until he gets a bullet in his chest from her. The Amazons raise their weapons out of surprise, but Nora finds comforting words for them. Hero is standing right next to her, shoulder to shoulder. From that moment on, no new leader appears at all. Sarah walks several kilometers and finally finds Yorick and Allison. The guy is depressed about that. He lost all his loved ones, and he no longer has a reason to live. Listening to a friend, Sarah confesses she understands him very well. She also lost her parents in her childhood. Moreover, Sarah is talking what if he wants? He can leave. She obeyed Jennifer, and therefore, after her death, their contract was terminated. But the guy refuses, and he is asking Sarah to become his coach, so that he stops being a burden and can defend himself. Meanwhile, Jennifer, Bette, and Sam find themselves locked in an empty room, under the supervision of cameras. The company doesn't know. They were captured by Commander Sarah from the Secret Service. Following the beacon signal, Sarah is bringing her friends to the parked car. In addition to fuel, there is everything in the car for conducting research and a map with the marked route.